Testing. Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Check 1.
Yeah. You got enough of that? Sounds
check
good.
1. Check 2.
I mean, all of us have different gifts. So creativity to each of us might mean motherhood. It might mean preaching. It might mean organizing an office. So whatever our gifts are, you know, obviously the Bible tells us whatever we do, work with all our heart. It tells us to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice, and it tells us to fan into flame the gift. Well, fan into flame. Sorry. It also tells us, you know, to make the most of each opportunity. It talks about the parable of the talents, of course. So in other words, we have a responsibility beyond natural talent. So for me as a musician, that means you know, working at writing melodies, and you know, and obviously as each year moves on, you know, it gets more and more difficult to be fresh. I mean, there's only 12 notes on a piano, and how do you keep writing new ones? There's always this challenge of how do you get better. And I love golf. One of my friends plays golf. Always says the more I practice, the luckier I get. And I think there's a degree to which for all of us that's the case. You know, for us, I've quoted in this before a number of times, but you know, I write an average of 700 to 800 melodies in a year. I record, but I come up with more, but I probably record 700 to 800, and I usually use about 3 or 4. You know, so you're working most days. If I write songs 100 to 150 days a year, I'm probably only having success 4 or 5 of those. So it's a question of just sitting down and giving it a shot for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on something that's fresh, something where one's passionate about, and hoping that just someday you come up with something that's a unique angle. I mean, the great painters painted very ordinary things, but they painted them with unique angles, with a unique perspective. You know, the great melodies are simple melodies, and yet nobody in the history of the world thought of them. You know, so it's a really interesting challenge. But you got to keep going, and then I think you got to find, for me, you got to find out what works. 95% of artists are introverts. I am not one of those. So for my friends, you know, most of my friends love to read. They love to spend long hours by themselves. They love to perhaps go to libraries or just listen to music or go for long walks. And I'm really not like that. I love people who are interesting. I love eating with people who are fun. And that can be missionaries, that can be theologians, that could be a painter, that could be a filmmaker, that could be all kinds of different people who are just, that could just be somebody who has really funny perspectives and stuff, just to think about it, or someone's got a powerful story. And so those things, you know, help to constantly move things around. When we were reconstructing Irish Christmas, for example, last month, I wanted the thing to be fresh. It's the 5th year of it. And we had to come up with a new concept. So I had this kind of idea in my head. I want the first half to be fun, and I want the second half to be to tell the drama, and so the team, we just started throwing around. One guy came up with the Christmas Carol illustration. Another person came up with the idea of lanterns and lampstands and stained glass windows, around which you'd build this kind of village of fun in the first half, and then you'd build this holy building in the second half. But what we did was we found 5 or 6 people, all who were energetic, all who had too much to say, but all who would actually get sparked by each other, you know. And so when it comes to building a team, a lot of it is what 4, 5, 6 people will come to this lunch meeting or will come to this room, and we'll all bring the best out in each other. And you know, a lot of it, I think, with ideas, it's just a love to throw ideas, you know. So people who love to throw ideas out, you know, they help get you there. If you have somebody in the room who's constantly nipping at their heels, then the whole thing just dies quickly, you know. So it's about throwing ideas and trying things around, and getting the results. But everyone has to find what their thing is. I think one of the things I've most learned about creativity as well is to have good role models who are older than you. So whether you're a preacher, mother, musician, whatever it is, have people who you admire who are way further on. They give you a unique perspective, and life is long, you know, in the providence of God. And if it's not, you know, we believe it's even better then. But that's important. And then finally, I think with creativity, I always share my creativity with my wife, because she knows me better than anybody else. She's the most influential theologian in my life, because she influences how I think about God and about humanity in the eyes of in response to God more than anybody else. So I always share things with her, because also I can't fool her. She knows when I'm being an idiot, and she'll call me out on it. Whereas other people might just choose for a quiet life to say nothing and just let me keep talking nonsense. So I think, and also I think she loves me more. So I think for creativity, those are the things that I have found have helped build progress. And you've got to constantly feel you're getting better, don't you? If you're a church piano player and you're playing the same chords you were playing 20 years ago, I've got news for you. You're boring people. If you're a choir director and you're doing the same anthem for Thanksgiving this year that you've done in the last 10 years, I would bet anything your choir's getting smaller, you know, and it deserves to. You have not served them well. So I think all of us have to say, what is our core talents, and how can we constantly be growing them and learning and getting better? And if not, how can we cleverly, how can we strategically and lovingly move on and bring in somebody else who can do that? That's a great question. The question of how do creatives actually sit down and do what they do? Well, I think you just have to do that. You know, you have to, and I'm always asking that question because I love people and I love music. We're always getting distracted. We've limited our life to writing hymns for the church, and then being an ambassador for where those hymns have gone. So our hymns for most of our congregational hymns, the best way we can get those out is by doing these leadership events in churches. So we limit touring to 12 weeks a year, because that helps us enjoy hearing the songs sung, which is important for the creative process, and it introduces the songs so people can use them. I think I keep some variety with it. For example, I think I'm good at writing a hymn tune, but I'm not that good at writing a pop tune or a country song. So rather than do all those sort of things, I work around like doing some Christmas music, which is a little different, or writing some music for my children, which is for hymns. So I keep within my core focus, but I do enough things that are a little bit different that I don't get too bored. And then a lot of it is just realizing where you work best. I work best in the mornings. So it's just sitting down every day for 1, 2, 3 hours, giving it a shot. And if you can keep going for longer, do.
Testing. Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Check 1.
Yeah. You got enough of that? Sounds
Check
good.
1. Check 2.